Assalamualaikum to Doctor. We are from Group 1. We would like to present on North Carolina State University case study on implementing ERP student module. First, I will briefly explain on the background of the case. So, in the mid of 1990s, North Carolina State University or NCSU recognized that its existing information systems are outdated and unable to support universities' growing needs. So many of the systems were over 20 years old, so it was difficult to maintain and unable anymore to adapt efficiently to any changing in the business and regulatory requirements. So to modernize its operation, NCSU decided to implement an enterprise resource planning or ERP system and selected PeopleSoft as its ERP solutions. So the university first implemented the HR and financial module in the late of 1990s. However, this implementation faced several challenges, including system crash, performance issue, and inadequate testing. So in 2005, after waiting for a more stable version of the software, NCSU began implementing the student ERP module, which include administration, registration, student records, and student financial services. So the student ERP project aimed to replace the university aging student information system and create more integrated, efficient, and user-friendly platform for student, faculty, and next, the main issue of the case. So whether NCSU can successfully implement its student ERP module after experiencing major problems with the earlier HR and financial implementations. So how can NCSU avoid the system crash, poor information, and training issues that occurred during the HR and financial ERP implementation?
So for this part, I will answer for those questions. So for this slide, I will explain the key lesson learned from the NCSU ERP implementation project. So first, one important lesson is that user confidence plays a critical role in the success of technology adoptions. Initially, NCSU found that the training session were conducted too early before the system went live. As a result, many users forgot important information and were not fully prepared when they need to use the systems. To overcome this issue, NCSU introduced just-in-time or JIT training, which was conducted shortly before the system launch. This approach helped users retain the knowledge better and increase their readiness to use the new ERP system effectively. So the second lesson is the importance of conducting realistic and comprehensive testing. Any ERP system must be able to handle large transaction volumes, especially during peak periods. In previous implementations, some problems occurred because the system was not tested thoroughly under real operating conditions. Therefore, NCSU carried out extensive testing and stimulate high demand situations, such as student registration periods. This allowed them to identify potential issues before the actual launch and ensure stable system performance during critical operations. So the third lesson is that a phased implementation approach can significantly reduce project risk. Instead of adopting a big bang approach, where all modules are launched at the same time, and CSU chose to roll out the system gradually. This strategy allowed the project team to identify and solve problems step by step. As a result, disruption were minimized, risks were reduced, and the overall implementation process will become more successful. On to the next slide, let's look at the key lesson learned from NCSU implementation experience. The final lesson is the importance of organizational readiness and proper timing. Before implementation, NCSU ensured that its staff, business process, and technology infrastructure were fully prepared. This prevented rush deployment and helped reduce resistance to change among employees. As a result, users felt more confident in using the new system, leading to greater acceptance and smoother adoption across the organizations. So the second lesson is phase system development. NCSU implemented the financial and human resource module first before introducing the student module. This approach allowed the organization to learn from early implementation experience and apply those lessons to later phase. Consequently, project complexity was reduced, risks were minimized, and implementation became more manageable. The final lesson is the importance of strong operational management. Throughout the implementation process, NCSU continuously monitored system performance and actively collected feedback from users. This ongoing monitoring helped identify issues quickly and supported continuous
Explain the
improvement.
definition of Enterprise Risk Management (ERM). ERM is a comprehensive and organization-wide approach used to identify, manage, and monitor risks that could affect an organization's ability to achieve its objective. In my own words, ERM is a structured process that helps an organization anticipate potential threats and opportunities, make informed decisions, and ensure that risks are managed at an acceptable level. It enables management to balance risk and reward by integrating risk consideration. In the context of the NCSU ERP implementation, implementation, ERM would involve identifying and managing risks related to system failure, data security, budget overrun, and operational disruption. By applying ERM principles, NCSU could assess these risks proactively and implement controls to reduce the likelihood and impact of problems during the ERP implementation process.
The implementation of ERP system at North Carolina State University introduced several risks that could affect work operation and reputation. Operationally, the transition from legacy system created a risk of system restriction, downtime, and data integration issue, which could impact critical services such as student registration and admission. This challenge could lead stakeholders to question the university's ability to manage larger-scale technology projects. Financial risks arise from the high cost of ERP implementation, including software, maintenance, consulting, and training expenses. Budget overrun and project delay could increase the financial burden on the university and raise concerns about the management ability to control costs effectively. In addition, the centralized ERP system increased exposure to cybersecurity threat, data breach, and system failure, potentially affecting stakeholder trust in the university's ability to protect sensitive information. The proposed sharing of ERP system with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill introduced further risks. Differences in organizational culture and work process could create employee resistance and coordination challenges, while shared access to student data could increase legal and compliance concerns related to privacy and governance. These risks highlight that the need for effective risk management and to ensure the success of both the ERP implementation and any future collaboration between the two universities. On the other hand, the ERP implementation at North Carolina State University also could help reduce operational risk by integrating admission, registration, student record, and financial process into a single system. This improved information sharing, reduce the application of work, and increase administrative efficiency, resulting in faster and more effective services for students and staff. The system also strengthens financial control through a more accurate reporting, budgeting, and resource management. Automation reduces manual errors and improves accountability, enabling better decision-making and increasing stakeholders' confidence in the university financial management. From an IT perspective, the centralized ERP database could improve data accuracy, consistency, and security. Standardized control helps protect sensitive student and financial information, enhancing trust among stakeholders and strengthening the university reputation. The potential sharing of ERP system with the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill could further reduce risk through stronger governance and shared best practices and improve resources management. In addition, successful collaboration could enhance public perception by demonstrating innovation, cooperation, and efficient use of resources, ultimately strengthen the reputation of both institutions.
Next, I will discuss the benefits of sharing ERP system between NCSU and UNCCH. First, sharing the ERP system can reduce implementation and operating costs. Both universities can share expenses related to software license, hardware maintenance, upgrades, and technical support. This is particularly beneficial because ERP system requires significant financial investment. NCSU had already spent more than 31 million on ERP implementation and upgrades, while UNCCH ERP project was expected to cost around 75 million. Therefore, sharing the system could help both universities reduce their overall costs. Second, sharing ERP system can lower maintenance and upgrade costs. ERP system require regular updates and software upgrade to remain effective and secure. If both universities share the same ERP environment, they can divide this cost and effort between them. Third, sharing ERP system allow for more efficient use of IT resources. Instead of maintaining separate teams to perform similar tasks, both universities can share technical experts and support staff. This reduces duplication of work and ensure that available expertise is utilized more effectively. Both sharing ERP system promote knowledge and best practice sharing. NCSU had many years of experience implementing and managing PeopleSoft ERP system. By sharing the system, UNCCH could benefit from NCSU's experience, lesson learned, and proven practices. This will help UNCCH avoid common implementation mistakes, reduce project risk, and improve the overall success of its ERP implementation.
Question 3 is asking, at the end of the case, NCSU faced a unique situation. It had been announced that NCSU and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, UNCCH, would share ERP system. The sub-question B, should all modules, financials, HR, and student be shared or just certain modules? Financial model, the main benefit of sharing is that both institutions can have more standardized financial processes. This means reporting and financial management can become more consistent. However, the main issue is implementation, since each institution already have different financial systems, charts of accounts, and procedures. Combining them will require a lot of data conversion, redesign, and testing. So, although sharing can bring efficiency, it must be done carefully. That is why financial sharing is possible, but only if both institutions are willing to align their processes first. For the HR module, sharing could improve operational efficiency. For example, payroll and employee management could become more streamlined, and this may reduce duplication of work. But the problem is that HR systems are usually very customized, and CSU may have its own payroll policies and procedures, so it may be difficult to standardize everything with another institution. Because of that, I think HR should not be fully shared. A partial or sharing approach is better, where only suitable areas are shared while sensitive or customized payroll processes remain separate. Module, sharing could improve the student experience because information and services may be easier to access across institutions. However, student systems are closely linked to each university academic structure. Different policies, requirements, and procedures can make integration complicated. So for this module, it is better not to share. Each university should maintain its own student system because academic procedures are usually unique and highly personalized. Overall, the best solution is partial sharing. The financial modules can be shared if proper alignment is done. The HR module should only be partially shared because payroll structures and policies may differ. Meanwhile, the student module should not be shared because academic processes are too specific to each institution. So, instead of forcing one system for everything, the more practical approach is to share only where it creates value and avoid sharing in areas that are too complex or risky.
At the end of the case, NCSU faced a unique situation. It had been announced that NCSU and the University of the North Carolina at Chapel Hill would share the ERP system. See, what the challenge will the university face if they choose to move forward? So now we will go to the challenge that university will face if they proceed to move forward. So the first challenge is the system risk and operational disruption. So the previous system will crash and performance the issue. We may affect the payroll, financial reporting, and student service. The second challenge is customization and system differences. So NCSU already customized the system, and the University of Carolina will face the new user. So it will make it difficult to standardize the process. And third challenge is the differences in business process. So we will a different chart of account, different payroll cycles, and different academic system. So the conclusion for this challenge is the high implementation and integration risk, and full system sharing requires a careful planning and alignment. So for the next question, D. What step would you like to take to maximize the benefits and manage the challenges? Now we will go to the maximize the benefit. So the first way to maximize the benefit is cost saving and the resources optimization. So we can implement centralize the procurement and share the infrastructure to fully leverage cost sharing like license, maintenance, upgrade, and avoid the duplication of investment. So the second way is process standardization and efficiency. So perform a business process alignment like finance, HR, students using a common core approach to reduce the inconsistency, improve workflow, and increase the operational efficiency. And the third way is data integration and decision making. So for ensure the fully integrated system with real-time data access to improve the reporting accuracy and support a better data-driven decision. And the last is international collaboration. So we've established a joint governance structure to encourage the continuous collaboration, sharing of expertise, and improvement of system performance over time. So now we will go to how to manage the challenge. So first we will start with the system risk and operational disruption. So we conduct the extensive testing, especially the load testing, and adopt a phased implementation to avoid the system crash during peak periods like registration and payroll. The second way is the customization and the system differences. So we minimize the customization and use the standard ERP features, common core approach to simplify the integration and reduce the maintenance complexity. The third way is the differences in business processes. So we perform the process alignment and standardization like a chart of account, payroll cycles, academic system before full system integration. And the last way is the people and change resistance. So we can implement the JIT training and strong communication strategies to improve the user readiness and reduce the resistance.
Last but not least, the conclusion. So the student ERP implementation that NCSU shows how valuable it is to learn from the past mistake. So the challenges faced during the HR and financial ERP projects provided important lessons that help the university approach the student implementation more effectively. So by investigating more time in planning, testing, and training with communication, NCSU was able to minimize many of the problems that had occurred in the earlier implementations. So the successful of the project was also driven by strong collaboration between IT staff, university department, and project stakeholders. So everyone worked towards a common goal, which helped ensure a smoother transition to the new system. So as the result, student ERP system improved the integration of university process, enhance data accuracy, and provide better services for student, faculty, and staff.